Good afternoon. I'm gonna do a small video, well, try to make it small, on some knives I've been making and some other blades I've been refurbishing, and just to show you what I got. And most of these are for sale. First one I want to show you, carpentry axe, trim axe, comes under different names. When I bought this at the estate sale, it was just rusted up. It had what they call a chisel grind, which means it's flat, and then the bevel's on one side. I put a smaller bevel on this side. Works good as a little camp hatchet. No sheath yet, but this is one of my pieces I'm going to be putting up for sale here in a little bit. Original handle, different color, longer, about like that. Cut it down so that you can put it in a backpack, carry it on your belt, and it's not going to add too much weight and take up a lot of room. I've used this one testing it, test all my blades. My son really likes this. He may end up with it if I don't sell it right away. But nice little tool. I'm getting into where I'm making blades or refurbishing old ones and repurposing them. It's kind of like my art. This one's set up to hang around your neck, and it's made out of bed frame. Really nice edge. I leave these a little bit hard so they retain their edge longer. Great little carving tool. Food prep. Excuse my hands, I've been working in the shop, they're dirty. Really like this just to have around for light utility work. I've got a show coming up. I'll redo the blade a little bit, shine it up just a hair bit. I like the patina it has on it. Now, because I leave these a little bit hard, that means you stick them into something and pry, you're going to snap the blade. They don't bend. But then they don't need to be sharpened as much either because they're harder. I leave them hard, so I don't have to worry about sharpening them when I'm out in the field. It's a nice little knife. Like I said, this is bed frame. This next one is a bed frame. I haven't stained the sheath yet. This is the way it's going to be. It's got kind of a compression fit toward the end. And there's not going to be any way to attach this to your belt. It's not made for that. This is a pack knife or a backpack knife. Like I said, it's made out of bed frame. A little bit hard. I left it that way for the edge, so you don't want to pry with it. But having around camp, prep food, putting a tip on a piece of wood, doing some bushcraft, this is a nice knife. And I like the bed frame steel. I also do car leaf spring, really like it too. And that's what I'm going to show you next. One of my bigger knives. Wood sheath, paracord, webbing. And this is spring steel, so it's thicker. Really robust. Handles are a little bit beefy. That's so when you're hacking with this, you're not going to get as much hand shock. Well, you aren't going to get hardly any hand shock at all, excuse me. Left it with the roughness on it. Most of my knives are going to be that way. You'll see some that aren't here, or at least blades that aren't. Just because I'm kind of going for a more rustic, post-apocalyptic look, not as refined. There's just, in my opinion, there's just a lot of refined, fancy knives out there, and I've kind of got burned out on them. This is a Seax design. or at least taken from a Seax design. I really like this shaped blade. it's in the other ones I showed you, because it is so useful for a lot of different things, for shaving wood, hacking because of the weight, stabbing because of the tip. But this is pine, this is oak, and just about all my knives are left or right-handed. And right now I'm doing wood sheaths. I kind of like them. They're a little bit more robust. Now, this is one of my newer sheaths with the red handle, black bank line. And this sheath, as you can see, is more contoured. The bottoms on all of these are opened up so water drains out. That's the center of the leaf springs where the bolt went through to hold them all together. I left that in there. Used it as part of the knife. Red stain. These knives are a little bit heavy, and I know some people don't like heavy knives. All I can say is light knives don't chop very well, and I like them for small work, but if I got to do something more robust, I will not use a light knife. Now that's just my opinion and my preference. This is one of the ones that I have for sale. This is a larger one. Now these leaf spring knives and the bed frame are mainly reduction. I will cut the blade blank out, heat it in the forge, make sure it's straight, and then shape the blade with grinders or angle grinders. Drill the holes, start the profile on the blade, heat it back up, and then harden it, and then finish it off. If you do it that way, you're not adding as much stress to the metal, so it's easier to deal with. And I've got plenty of material to make knives out of. And it goes with my art, because I make art out of gears and motorcycle chains and whatever else I can find. And that actually makes the quenching and the tempering easier, because you're not building up the stresses. If you forge this out of a block of metal, like you see on everybody's favorite knife forging show, you pound in a lot of stress in that metal. And unless you want to take the time to normalize it, you could end up with cracks and just problems. By doing it the way I do, you get a strong, sharp, these things hold an edge. The handles absorb the shock because of the way I temper them, or I should say quench them. The blades are completely quenched, and then these get softer the further back they go. So it allows it to absorb a lot of the vibration when you hit stuff. I've had people use this knife especially, and the machete I'm going to show you, and they said it's just like it stops with no shock in the hand. But this is one of my longer ones. I'm going to be making more of these. This is nice to carry out in the field, because you can do finer work than what you would think, making feather sticks and stuff, but de-limbing and hacking through brush. And again, both of these, the sheaths were done with a torch to darken them up. This is pine for the weight. And this is actually poplar that I dyed green. This is one of my favorite ones. The last one I'm going to show you that's finished is my 1.5-hand machete with leg and waist belt. And this is what it's meant to be. It's for hacking and cutting through brush, delimbing, chopping down small trees. And I made it, let's see if I can get this, with a longer handle, so you have more leverage. You can baseball swing this thing. Still have stabbing capability. A lot of machetes, if you need to stab something, you're just not going to do it. It's got the curve in there, it's too blunt. And I don't like carrying a blade that I don't have the option to stick it in something if I have to. But this is a longer blade. There's the hole for the to hold it together on the car, or the leaf spring stack. This is also for sale. This is one of my longer ones. I will make longer ones, but this is, right now, is the longest one. And the last two things I want to show you is the two blades I'm working on. These are bed frame, thinner blades. This is even, this one isn't as wide as the first one I showed you. Right now they got a little bit of flex. I'm going to keep that in the blade when I quench it and harden it. And these are bed frame, so they're going to be lighter, thinner to cut through stuff. The handles are going to be more traditional Seax type handles, like the Seax knife. They're not really going to have a cross guard, but they'll have a swell on either end to keep your hand from slipping off. And these I wanted to make to get some practice on making them this length, because I'm going to use the bed frame for slightly longer ones and start putting cross guards on some of them. And eventually these will have slightly curved blades on a few of them. Again, right now, for this, I'm making them as if knives I would use. I really like the breakback Seax design. Out in the field, there's just so much you can do with it that's what I usually like to carry. Now I do have other knives that I bought, bushcraft knives that I carry, but the more I make of these, I've been switching over to the ones I've been making, and so far I've been real happy with them. But these I got to finish up this week for a show coming up, but I just want to show you what I got. I am starting to sell these now. I do have a web page I've got to check on to see if it's up and running with the knives on it. It's got some of my art on it. They're getting ready, or my wife is getting ready to put some of the knives on it, and I'll put a link in comments when it gets ready, so you can go out there and look at them. But again, these are bed frame, thinner, lighter, but bed frame and spring steel makes excellent knives. Again, I just wanted to show you what I'm doing. The other ones I showed you, they're for sale. These are still in the process of being made. When they're done, I'll do a video on these. I'm really looking forward to testing this one to see what it does as far as cutting and everything. But I thought I'd just show them off and let you see them. Like I said, I'm getting ready for a couple shows, and thanks for watching.